In the UK, anyone can do it. Anyone can get a property and put it on Air Bnb, and it's not regulated. Dubai is about 30 years ahead of us. When you look at a majority of millionaires in the world, what they eat is such an important thing. They've even hired a nutritionist. Not many people speak about it as well. There are very hard times being an entrepreneur. It's very lonely as well. It's a lot more stressful because...
Today I have an inspiring guest. She's only 21, but today she's turning a six-figure business, and we want to find out all about it. So I want to welcome Leena Ahmed.
Have to wake up early. Those few hours in the morning, so from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m, it's so quiet. You can get so much work done. You know, a lot of men, they feel intimidated by the amount of success they've achieved, but maybe they've just, talking to the wrong men because...
Today I have an inspiring guest. She's only 21. She was already a broke uni student, but today she's turning a six-figure business, and we want to find out all about it. So I want to welcome Leena Ahmed.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on.
Yes, lovely to have you on. So where have you come from today?
So I'm from Coventry, born and bred. So that's what.
Did you travel from there this morning, or?
I drove here. Luckily there was no traffic, but it was all good.
Nice. So I always wonder, what does a day or a week in the life of a young 21-year-old look like these days? What's happening in your world?
Well, for me, I wouldn't say it's very what's the word, where it's general with other 21-year-olds. Well, I don't think it is. So with my day in the life, I do short-term rentals, aka Airbnb, where we find a house or an apartment, we put it on Airbnb or Booking.com, and we rent it out on a nightly basis, and that's how we profit from that. So a day-to-day life goes around that.
So, how regularly does the business need you? Does it need you on a daily basis, or do you go every couple of days, or are you leveraging other people?
Yeah. So with my units, they're actually based 30 minutes away from me. So at first, I was doing a lot. I was doing the sales, the marketing, the operations, the cleaning. I was the cleaner at once. But we decided to leverage different people in different aspects of the business. For example, having someone in for cleaning, having someone in for doing any maintenance, because I'm not able to be there all the time. I want to be growing the business. So we've put people in to leverage off them who are better skilled at what they do. So I can focus on building the business and focus on relationships.
Great. Yeah, I totally agree with you. But, before we get into that bit, I want to hear more about how it was at the start, because you can only leverage people and get a team together once you have a bit of money, right?
Yeah.
And before that, you've got to be like a one-person band. Like you got to be playing every single instrument. So, how did you put your sort of first deal together? How did that thought come into your mind? How did you find a property?
Yeah. So when I got my first unit, I was working at the time in Morrison's. It was during a gap year I took for university. Well, I didn't have a choice for the gap year. If I take it back a little bit, I started university in September 2020. It was during lockdown, so there were no lectures. It was all online, so I didn't really get the full university experience, and I'm glad I didn't. I'm not really interested in the social life. I'm more interested in the entrepreneurial aspect. So did my first year of uni. I studied law. It was an all right year. It was enjoyable to learn about law. But it always felt like there was something missing. And then it got to the end of the year where we have to submit all our assignments. At the time, I was in Portugal, just a normal holiday. But I just didn't finish my assignments. So A few months later, I got a call saying, "Hi, Leena, unfortunately, you're not getting to the next year." I was really shocked to hear it because, of course, I come from an Asian background. I've got Asian parents. I just thought in my head, "Oh my God, what do you mean I'm not going to go into next year?" They said, "Well, you can do a gap year," and I always thought gap years weren't good. I always thought people take gap years because maybe they're bored and they're just trying to figure their life out. I never saw myself as doing a gap year, but there I was doing a gap year. So what I did essentially is I wanted to start something of my own because, like I said, I always felt that there was something missing. So I gave myself those 12 months of that gap year to find something to do, which ended up being this Airbnb business. And I gave myself, a 12 months. I gave myself accountability. If I don't do something within this 12 months, then I guess I'll go back to university. If I do, then, I'll take it from there.
But why property? Why Airbnb? How did you know how to get into this? How was this on your radar?
So I was following a few people on Instagram where they were actually doing amazing in rent to service accommodation. And, I was following it through from 2019 and it was something that I did want to get into. I saw it as an opportunity. It's a people's business, hospitality. I like traveling. Traveling comes with hotels. I like the business. I like the business model. So I think with property, because it's got so many entry points, I chose service accommodation to do. And
Did you
that's
have
what
to do a course to learn about that, or did you have a mentor?
No, so I was actually self-taught. I never got a mentor. It did take a lot of YouTube videos to watch, a lot of books to read, a lot of networking events to go to. So again, I'd go to a lot of property networking events because I didn't know anything about property. Like I said, I was only 20 or 19 at the time. I knew nothing about property, but I did know that I wanted to be inside property. I wanted to, have many properties to my name. So I would go to a lot of property networks and networking events, and I'd hear of the thing called having Airbnb, rent to rent, and yeah, I just wanted to put my foot in, and that's exactly what I did.
So did you automatically get attracted to Airbnb and the rent to rent system?
Yeah, it was really attractive. I was looking at HMOs, but there was this one post that someone did there, and then it was like where if it was I don't believe in it now, but I obviously when I was starting out, so it was like there's this one post showing a person that owns Airbnbs and they have a partner, and another person that owns HMOs and they have a partner, and it's just saying like, oh, hey partner, come look at this. Come to my place, and they take them to a nice Airbnb, and then this person takes them to like a 1-room HMO. I don't know. It just looked more lucrative to me at the time, and I just saw it as something that I could definitely grow towards.
Did the interior design aspect sort of appeal to you as well, or wasn't that a factor at all? It was
Yeah,
just
it,
about the
it
money.
appeared massively. I've been with interior designing. My business partner deals more with that, but I did like the aspect of it. I did like how, you know, designing a place just like this place here. It's nicely designed. I liked how people would choose your place based on how it's designed, based on how much amenities you can offer, and I want we I want to be the best at what I do, and I feel like with in the hotels business, in the short-term rental business, if you appear to be the best, then you will get more customers coming in to stay with you.
Definitely, definitely. So, what did your first deal look like? How did you find your first rent to rent? I mean, look, you're very young. Um, I don't know. Certain people could look at you and go, "What, you want to rent my place? How have you got the money? How do you got the credibility? I'm not even sure if I can do a reference check on you. How did you overcome all of these things?"
Yeah, so it's crazy when I do think about it because at the time I was only earning £300 to £400 a month from my part-time job. So it wasn't a lot. And of course, the first rent that I was going to be paying to my landlord for the short-term rental business was £800 a month. Of course, when the landlord sees that I'm only earning this amount and I'm having to pay him nearly double, well, double the amount, he's not going to trust me. But how it went is I went on the viewing to view the property. Before I went on the viewing, I did my analysis to check if the area will work for me. I checked the location. I checked nearby transport areas, transport links. I checked surrounding competition, and based on that, I thought it was a good property to go ahead with. I booked the viewing with the landlord, so it was direct to landlord, direct to vendor. And I told him on the phone, I want to do this with the property. Are you open to it? And he said to me, come to the viewing and we'll talk more about it. So he had about, I think, 20 different other people, potential tenants that were viewing the property because it was a nice property in the area. And then I went to the viewing. I dressed up nicely. I made sure I smelt nice, just making sure that
Your appearance was
appearance is on point, because it does play a massive factor, how you appear to other people, especially when it's first impression. So I went to him and I said, so I'm looking to work with more corporate clients. So I work with different companies like Coca-Cola, the NHS. These are companies that I do actually work with now. We have a few contracts with them where they can stay with us for accommodation. But at the time, I just said it because I knew I'll be working with them in the future. So I said that we'll be looking to work with these corporate clients and they will be staying with us. I explained it to him. I made sure I was confident. I made sure everything I was saying was consistent. And I just saw his face. He just kept nodding his head and he was smiling a lot. And I saw his face that he was getting excited about what I was saying to him. Now, a lot of other people, they say with rent to rent, landlords run away when they hear the word rent to rent Airbnb. They literally shoot out the door when they hear someone asking to do that. But with this landlord, he was open to it, and yeah, he said, okay, that's brilliant. And I went home, put my offer in, sent the contract to him, and then it got to the referencing stage where they have to reference your background, they have to credit check you. I got rejected for the referencing stage. It said on the referencing thing that it said proceed at your own risk. So it said that on the landlord's side. And he said to me, hey Leena, it came back as this, but I'm gonna trust you. He basically said that he's gonna trust me, and yeah, that's it. That's how it came forward. So he trusted me even though I couldn't meet the affordability rate of the apartment.
See, that's really important what you've just said there, because that's a scenario where the computer said no. Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean? The computer said no, but it required a human to override that decision because of the potential he can see and the machine cannot see. He can see this, young, well presented young lady. She's got a vision. She's got something new to bring to the market, and maybe he thought, actually, why do you think he chose you? What were the factors do you think that sold it to him?
So I actually met him 6 months after, where the landlord wants to see the apartment or house. They want to check how everything's been with their tenant. So he did a 6 month check on me. He came to the apartment with his partner and his children, and he saw the apartment, and it looked probably better than it was when he first gave it to me. Because of course, with short-term rentals, we have a lot of cleaners in. We have our maintenance team, so it's always being looked after. All our landlords' property are always being looked after. We always vet our guests. So yeah, that's why after he saw that, I did ask him, why did you go ahead with me? What was it? Even though I didn't meet the affordability rate, what was it? He said to me it was the communication, so and the confidence as well. So, and especially the communication. So when I was going back and forth with him on WhatsApp, on calls, I was replying to him on good time. I was being professional with everything. And he actually told me his previous tenant was horrible with communication. They weren't paying rent on time. He'd have to chase him. There was also a language barrier. So he said to him, communication was a massive thing. I think that's why he went ahead with me, because I was making sure that I was being as professional as possible. So, yeah.
Amazing, great. I'm sure a lot of people in the audience right now can probably say, do you know what? I might not have the best cards right now. It may not look like the odds are stacked in my favor,
Yeah.
but things can happen if my attitude is right, if I communicate well, present myself well, and that maybe that's 50% of the job done. Would you agree?
Yeah, I do agree 100%. It comes with I think he saw the drive I had. I was really I just wanted to take that action. I was really determined to get this first deal. I had a lot of no's before that, and I just thought to myself, this is not going to be another no. I was just tired of the no's.
So how do you see failures when you was getting all these no's? What made you get back up, and how did you determine that you wasn't going to get another no, really?
So when I first started doing my calls to agents and landlords, they just kept saying no, and I was thinking, right, there's no way not one person is gonna want to go ahead with me. But it was really upsetting. It did really put me down when everyone would just be like, "No, we don't do that. Goodbye. No, sorry, we've dealt with this before, but goodbye." They just hang the phone up, and of course, I'm at home. I'm getting a bit heated, and it just wasn't the best. But I think the one thing that overcame it was I saw this quote where it said, you're only, you don't know how close you are to the diamond. So it's like there's just two people there breaking the diamond. One person gave up, and he was just one axe away from
Pickaxe
getting
away.
pickaxe away from getting the diamond. So I saw that, and I thought, I don't know if I give up today, I don't know whether I could have gotten the yes tomorrow. So I think that helped me to make sure to stay consistent and just be persistent.
Massively. I love that. I love that because do you know what? There's not much difference between failure and success.
Yeah.
There really isn't because you could have failed and that next try could have been success, right? So, what was really the difference? Someone just tried one more time. So, I totally agree with you there. Um, so, you've got the keys in your hands now. He's done the deal with you, and everyone's left. It's just you and this apartment and some keys. What do you do?
Yeah, so I literally remember it. So he gave me the keys on the day. I was just signing everything in the apartment. It was a completely empty apartment now. He's removed all the furniture. So I got the keys and I just thought to myself, okay, now what? Because again, I'm self-taught. I didn't have a mentor at the time. So I didn't really know what to do. I called Uzma. So at the time, who she is now. She's now my business partner. But at the time, of course, I've known Uzma since I was a little kid. We've known each other since primary school. So I called her and I said, "Look at this! I've got keys to an apartment." Of course, when you're a 19-year-old, you're both 19-year-olds. You're saying, "Oh wow, we got keys to an apartment," and then it just reality hits you where, okay, I need to be making sure that this apartment's ready in time. I need to put it on the market in time. So all these different aspects in business I didn't know about. I'm new to it. I'm fresh in the game. All these different things like sales, marketing, operations, fulfillment, all these things were about to hit me back into reality where I need to get my game on. So it was nerve-wracking and it was a bit scary where I was left alone in the apartment now. It all came down to that. And yeah, it was really scary.
So, what did you do?
So it took me about a month to furnish that apartment, and
How did you finance it?
so it was from primarily from savings. So I saved up all my student finance. I never spent a penny of it. Um, Even in my part-time job at Morrison's, I barely spent a penny of it. Um, because I wanted to save up for something, save up for. At the time, I thought it was like I wanted to save up for a side hustle. I don't believe in the word side hustle anymore, but that's what I was thinking at the time. And I managed to save up about £8,000. I saved up about £8,000 within a year. Um,
And did that all go on furniture?
yeah, like £5,000 of it all went on furniture. So
Wasn't you scared? Like the rent is what, £800? Did you say?
£800 a month,
£800 of the rent,
the
and
bills as well.
you've spent 6-7 times that amount on this investment now.
Yeah.
That wasn't you scared?
I was very scared, but I just thought to myself, what's the risk mitigation here? Um, if I if I lose it all, I can just spend another year of working to get it back. So I didn't see it much as a risk. I saw it as me, finally taking action, taking the risk, and it all did pay off. But every time I go to Dunham, every time I go to all these furniture shops, I'm swiping my card. It was a horrible feeling because I'm spending all this money and I don't even know if it will be worth it. But I knew that it is a low risk. It's only £5,000, which isn't a lot. If it all fails, then I'll just save up the next year and start again until I find success of it.
Okay, so what did you do to this place? New curtains?
So, of course, it's completely unfurnished. So I painted up the whole place. So again, a one-man band, painting all the walls were already white, but I painted it white again. I'm not sure why. Again, I'm just starting up. I don't know. I've got no mentor. I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm just painting the walls white
Did
again.
it make a difference?
No, it didn't. There were a few marks, when a few fair wear and tear, but it's something where if from all my experience I've gained today, I wouldn't waste. I think it was 5 days which I wasted on just painting alone. So I wouldn't do that again. But we all start from somewhere.
Yeah.
But spent about 5 days painting, and then another 2 to 3 weeks flat packing. Again, today, and you even know that these two things you can just hire someone on a daily rate and they'll get it done within 3 days. So I did waste all that time, but it was a massive learning curve. I learned how to do wallpaper. I didn't know how to do wallpaper before. I learned how to flat pack. So a lot of skills were gained, but these skills, I don't think I really need them for the future. But it was a great learning curve.
And how did you go about the interior design of the place? Or how did you know how you wanted it to look? Did you go on a course for that? Did you just look at a magazine, how other people are doing it? Did you look at your competition on the Airbnb? How did you go about yours?
So I did it very simply. I got 4 main colors. I got blue, red, green, and yellow, mustard yellow. I got those 4 colors of furniture. I put it on my Instagram and I said, I captioned it 1, 2, and 3, and 4. I said, guys, pick which one looks the best for furniture. Everyone picked blue, so I just picked blue as the main base for the furniture. So I started getting blue sofa. I painted one of the bedroom walls blue wallpaper, and I think it was as simple as that. There was no crazy thing behind it. I don't come from an interior design background. I didn't want to spend too much time of it, so I just did that.
Okay, so 1 month on, the property's all ready. How do you market this place now?
Yeah, so I marketed it straight onto Airbnb. I also marketed it on booking.com. I didn't have my own website for direct bookings. I wish I did, but I didn't at the time. Again, I don't come from a SEO background, but at the time I marketed it on Airbnb. It was January, so this is normally quiet season in the UK. And it was getting a few bookings, but I didn't. I think that first month alone was a loss. I think I only just broke even, and then I decided
And
to.
how did you know how much to market your place for?
So again, I free-handed everything. I put it up for £90 a night. I've put it up higher now, but at the time I put it up at £90 a night. I was just comparing it with a competition, what they're charging, what the hotels are charging. So a lot of research does go into it. A lot of research does, and this was a lot of free research. I didn't have to spend any money on market researching. I simply went onto Airbnb, booking.com, look at what other people are charging, and just charge something in a similar rate. But what I should have done is add a few more things in the apartment, a few more eye-catching things in the apartment, and then charge slightly higher than what other people are marketing in the area. That's what I should have done, but now I know to do that.
Like, what sort of features could you have added?
So in a few of my apartments now, we've got pool tables in, we've got arcade machines in, What else do we have? We have balconies. We've got artificial grass on the balconies. So all these little things, they do play a massive part in gaining a potential guest's attention.
Absolutely. I mean, if I'm sharing with a couple of friends an apartment or something, and something's like just a little bit more expensive, but it's got a pool table, it's like, hey, I don't need to go out the full night.
Yeah.
Before we go out, we can have a few drinks here, have a couple of games here, and then we can also, so it's actually saving you money as well. Like if you think about what your client wants, right?
Yeah.
Something like, oh, that sounds really good. So what periods were you having them booked? Was they just daily bookings that you were getting, or were people booking them for a week or 2 weeks or 3 days? What sort of bookings was you getting?
So it was just it was dailies. So I'd get 2 nights, 3 nights, 4 nights, and at the time I didn't have a cleaning team. So and this apartment is 30 minutes away from where I live. So I was having to after 2 days, after 3 days, after even 1 day, I was the cleaner. I'd go to the apartment. I'd travel 30 minutes. I'd go to the apartment, clean the place up. I'm not a professional cleaner. I'm not trained to be a cleaner, so I'm trying my best to clean it up to standards, and then of course I'd go home after 3 hours of cleaning. But it was difficult how I was putting it on for 2 and 3 nights. Now I've got a 7 night minimum stay, so this attracts a bit more longer term bookings now. But I don't really recommend the 2-3 nights because a lot of people come to party. They use it for illegal use. They just don't use it in the right way where a 7 night tap
So did
would.
you have any bad, what was your worst incidents at the beginning when people were taking it on short term?
So my apartment would only sleep 5 people, but we've put a Ring camera at the door, and we've also got a noise detector. So of course these two things I also told the landlord about. That's why he was happy to hear that. But I had this Ring camera, and a guest was staying for 1 night. I got a notification on it's called a minute noise detector. It can detect the decibels of the noise. I got a notification and it was saying that it's loud noise. Of course, after 10 p.m. we have a strict loud noise policy. So I checked the Ring camera and I could see about 20 people going in all at once. I'm thinking, oh my God, what's going on? And of course, they were having a gathering/party. So I had to arrange security at the time to just kick them out. And yeah.
How do you arrange security?
Well, he wasn't security at the time. He was my linen provider. So he'd provide all the bed sheets. And of course, I do it myself. But of course, it's like 20 guys against the one girl. They're going to take the mick out of me if I try and kick them out. So of course I rang my linen provider. I said, I need your help today. I'll pay you because with security call outs, we take the security deposit, and that's put in the policies. So we charge about £250 for the security call outs. We give many warnings before that, but if they ignore all the warnings, then
So did you give a warning?
Yeah, we gave about 4 warnings
within a space of
in the space of about 1 to 2 hours. So it was enough time. Of course.
And he wasn't listening.
Yeah, they weren't listening. I even rang them to say, listen, I'm giving you a chance. Can you please leave the apartment? Because it's not fair on the neighbours if there's loud noise.
And what were they saying?
Luckily, the neighbours never said anything. The neighbours are quiet, but if the neighbours do say something, then it can affect me, my contract with the landlord, my relationship with that. It can affect a lot of things. That's why we put this policy in place.
Yeah.
And the furniture is not suitable for 20 people. So
you're damaging your goods.
Yeah, you can imagine.
That's worth more than 250 £5,000.
Yeah, it is. So I am putting a lot on the line. So I gave him 1 to 2 hours. And right now, we only give 30 minutes now. But I gave him a lot of time. They ignored everything.
And you got onto that pretty quickly.
Yeah, because of course it's my first unit. It's basically my baby. So I'm really checking everything. So yeah, I rang him and he managed to go there. He's already from Birmingham, so he went there. I also went as well because I want to check if there's any damages in the apartment. But I paid the security person £100 for the security call out, and then that there was actually damage, and it didn't cover the rest of the £150. It didn't cover the damages. But now I've learned to make sure that to better vet the guest, check everything, check IDs, check making sure that they're giving the security deposit, just check that suitable guests are staying in the property and not that making sure that won't happen again.
Any other incidents that you've had?
We've had a few more of those. Where they weren't properly vetted, but I wouldn't say anything crazy. We've had a few people smoking in the property. Of course, we charge for that, and then we get a device that gets rid of all the smell, but nothing crazy.
Okay, well, that seemed pretty crazy to me, having a massive party with all these people you don't know and could be potentially damaging all your furniture and goods, or your hard work and efforts. But what did it actually feel like when month 2 came, month 3 came, and you started getting more full?
Yeah, so February, March, it's starting to get a bit more busier. I think it was my third month where I got a massive long-term booking in. It was someone was coming from Portugal, I think it was. They come from Portugal. They're coming to, but they were coming to the area for relocation. So a lot of people from different countries, they come to the UK because they're looking to find a new house, start a new life, find a new job. So these people, they came to the area, the UK, to put in a new job role for other people. So of course they're creating that. So that's when I started to look more openly on the different types of guests that come and stay in the UK, because I'm from the UK and I don't think anyone would want to come visit the UK, because that's our culture. We don't think, we always say, oh, the UK is horrible, the UK is this and that, but it's actually a massive market. It's got a massive hospitality market. Hospitality is the second biggest one of the second biggest industries in the UK. I think the first one is real estate, I think, and then the second one is hospitality. So there's always going to be a market for hospitality. A lot of people get scared of saturation. They get scares of, will this work or will this not? Every year, 40 million people are coming into the UK. Over 40 million people are coming to the UK to stay for hospitality. So yeah, that was my first guest that stayed for 2 months. And then again, I got another 2 months, and it just started rolling like that.
And what is the difference? Like, why weren't these people just renting a normal house as opposed to yours?
Yeah, so with a lot of international guests, they aren't able to rent an actual residential property. The reason being, the minimum is 6 to 12 months. And they don't have the right visas in place, they don't have the right documents in place. They have to come to the UK first to ensure that they can get the right documents in place. Now, this process can be 1 to 3 months or even more. So they need somewhere to stay while they're doing that. So I think that's where we found our market of international guests coming in, where they're looking to move into the UK, but they just need accommodation while they're doing that.
And that's still on Airbnb and Booking.com.
Yeah, so there's different platforms like Agoda, VRBO, HomeAway. There's different platforms, but I'd say Airbnb and Booking.com are the biggest platforms.
Right. And do you have like a platform that posts it on all of the platforms for you?
Yeah, there are some platforms that do that. At the moment, we're looking at more direct bookings, but I think it's called Travel Nest. So when you go onto Travel Nest, it allows you to advertise it, upload it once onto Travel Nest, and then it uploads it onto many different websites that I haven't even heard of.
Yeah, cool. So instead of like £800 like you're paying, like a normal tenant would be, you're earning 3 times that amount?
Yeah, we'd be earning about, so that property now, it generates about £3,000 per month revenue, and of course after bills and everything and after rent, it comes to about £1,000 profit per month.
What do you have to include? The cleaners are included? The cleaners go and clean it,
So
or?
yeah, so the guests, they pay for the cleaning. It's included in the it's an additional cost that they have to pay. So they pay per night, and then they pay for the cleaning on top of that.
Okay, nice. And when did you start scaling this business then? So once that first one was going well and you could see that actually it's profitable, I've got something here. Did you have to wait to recuperate some of your cost back first with the £5,000 initial layout, or did you go again before that?
So I got my next unit in April. So everything I made, just reinvested it back in. I didn't use any of the profits for myself. I haven't even broken even from the initial setup cost of £5,000. I haven't even broken even from that. But I saw how lucrative it is, and summer was going to come, and it was going to start to get busy. So I wanted to make sure I have another unit in for the summer rates to come in. And it was in Birmingham, and in Birmingham it was the Commonwealth Games. Of course, I was seeing a lot of people charging £500 a night for these Commonwealth Games dates. It was in July, so I wanted to make sure I have as many units before this date, because people are charging £500 to £1,000 a night. I made sure to get the next unit by April, and the money used was just everything I earned from there into the next one.
Wow. Okay. And what did your second deal look like?
So this second deal was it was a massive 3-bed house in a new build. So again, it's new to me, being in a brand new house that's just been built a year before. And again, the landlord, I came with the same approach to the next landlord, made sure my parents was amazing, and just came again with confidence. And they were also open to it as well. They actually knew about Airbnb, and I think they had a lot of other people inquiring about the same thing. But they just went ahead with us because, again, they liked how we were conducting ourselves at the viewing. They liked how friendly we were being. We were cracking the jokes here and there. There was a lot of things that we could relate to at the viewing, and they moved forward with us. And I think this was one of our biggest deals, because it's the profits it's generating. It's probably generating the most out of all of them.
You mentioned Uzi came to one of your first deals.
Sorry, it's Uzma.
Uzma, sorry. When did she become part of the business?
So she became a part of the business during the first unit. So of course, like I said to you, I showed her the keys, and I introduced her to everything that's going on, what service accommodation is, and she actually started helping me to set up this unit. Um, Without getting paid. She wasn't asking for anything. She was just helping me as a friend would. And she'd stay. She was working at Costco at the time, and she'd finish her shift at 10 p.m. After 10 p.m., we'd go straight to Birmingham to finish this unit. So, of course, it meant a lot to me, where she's doing all this work for me, and I haven't told her I'm paying her. I haven't told her she's getting a wage. It's just free labor I'm getting out of her. But yeah, I think it was when we got the second unit. I said to her, Uzma, listen, do you want to do this together? Because the first unit is working, but are you open to doing this with me? So she said, of course, yes, because it's exciting to work together. Childhood friends, were literally best friends. It's exciting to work together as business partners now. So that's where it all started from, where she got introduced to it.
Why did you think you needed a partner?
I feel like she's got her strengths and stuff. I've got my strengths and stuff, and her strengths is interior designing. She just has an amazing eye for furniture sourcing, and my strengths is negotiations, building relationships with landlords, building relationships with estate agents, developers, I'd say. And of course, if I've got someone to help me with interior design, and if Usman's got someone to help her with negotiation, it just comes together, and we managed to build and scale faster than I would have done on my own.
Why do you think a lot of partnerships break down?
So I think because a lot of disagreements do happen, and of course, me and Uzma, we have to separate our friendship and we have to also separate our business. So it does get difficult at times because let's say we argue as best friends. Tomorrow we have to turn up to work together. So it does get difficult, but at the same time, it does help us to build a strong relationship. It's basically us growing together and just being as mature as possible, not getting hurt about any little arguments that we have. We just have to grow up the next day and get back to work. Yeah.
It's interesting. It's interesting because sometimes when there's two people from two different backgrounds coming together and they could be very good friends, when you have to work together and there's like pressures on each other, sometimes it can explode,
Yeah.
And so one of the things that you mentioned was you known Uzma for quite a long while as well. So you knew her, maybe some of her good habits, bad habits,
Yeah.
her temper, how she'd react in most situations, would you say?
Yeah. It's a difficult one because you have a lot of arguments, but it's just, is this argument worth losing this business? Because if me and her aren't working, if we're moody, then this business isn't going to work.
There's something
So
at stake.
we really have to mature up and we really have to get over the argument that we've had. We need to talk about the argument. We need to have a good communication about, why did this argument happen in the first place? And I'm not going to glamorize it. We have really bad arguments at times. It is hard to work with someone where, sometimes we don't have the same agreements. It's difficult, but it's just more about how much you want this business to work, how much you want this business to grow. Is it worth this little argument to, put the business down? Or is it worth to talk about the argument, talk about, how we can next time deal with things better and then grow the business even more and then work as a team?
For sure. You said you've done a lot of your deals direct to vendor. How do you find landlords?
So what do you mean, sorry?
So did you find these landlords through agents or did you find these landlords directly?
So I'd find them directly, and it does come to a lot of. Sometimes you can go to these different apartment blocks. Sometimes you see houses. It says to let. It has a to let sign on there, and it just simply goes down to go into the area and just looking at looking for all these different clues where other people are operating, trying to see whether there's any other apartment blocks that are free, and it comes down to speaking to maybe neighbors, saying, "Hi, I can see this apartment is for let. Do you have any information about the landlord?" We also use a website called Open Rent, where we can directly talk to landlords. So landlords use Open Rent to advertise their listings on, and it's a good platform to get as many landlords contacts as we
Because
can.
landlords are pitching on there, so
Yeah.
you can just speak to them directly.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. How difficult has it been to do some of your deals being an Asian woman? Do you think that makes a difference?
I'd say it's more internal difficulty. So of course I come from an Asian background. It is an ethnic minority. So at times you do feel like, because you don't see a lot of successful women, you just think in your head, how come there's not a lot of successful women? Is it something that we have that's not good enough? Or how come there's not a lot of successful Asian women? Is it something that we have that's not good enough? It's just, but all you need to understand that a lot of these things come internally, and it comes from cultural. Sorry, I can't speak. It comes from a culture background where all these beliefs that you've had in your head growing up, it does stick in your mind a lot. But when you look at people like Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, they're grown white men. Of course, you can argue that they come from a better background, but I believe that what they have is no different to me. They both have. I have a brain. They have a brain. They've got two eyes. I've got two eyes. Why is it that why can't I be on the same level as them in the next 10 years? And there's no reason why I can't be, because you know, I'm no different to them and they're no different to me. We're all humans. I just need to work more harder on the same level as they work hard. I can't slump around and think, I come from an Asian background. I'm never going to make it in life, you know. And a lot of people do think that, especially with footballers. A lot of Asian boys, they do footballing. They do football while they're young, and then they just give the whole career up because, you know, there is a lot of difficulty in getting into the league, the football league for Asian men. But I think although there is a lot of difficulty in getting into, you know, the industry that we want to get into, I feel like it does come down to working more harder. And sometimes, coming from an ethnic minority, sometimes we do have to work more harder than others. But I don't see any difference between me and Elon Musk. The only difference I see right now is I need to work a lot more harder. I need to put in a lot more hours, and just stay dedicated and consistent. And then that should, you know, take me to where I want to be.
Yeah, definitely. And you need to sleep at the office like he does.
Yeah.
That sounds good. All good. You sound like a very strong, ambitious woman. You sound like in the partnership, you're the one who's out there doing the deals, negotiating. And it takes a special type of person to do that, Lena. So take me a little bit back in time down memory lane and tell me a little bit about how you were growing up and your influences around you, some of your courses, etc. So let's just say you're 10 years old now. What are you doing?
So I was only 10 years ago, crazily, when I was 10 years old. But
Bomb.
at the time, of course, I was in primary school, and I can't really speak much for my 10-year-old self, but I just remember wanting to be the best. There'd always be times where I'd come second for things, and it would get to me why, you know, I wouldn't come first for things. So it would drive me to be, you know, a stronger person, work a bit more harder, and then you can get to that point.
What were your parents doing?
So my mum would work in a nursery school, and my dad, he works in a restaurant.
Okay.
Yeah.
He works at the restaurant or he's got any ownership in it?
He has a slight ownership in it, but I wouldn't say we come from the most wealthy background. I'd say it's very low middle class, I'd say. So we haven't always come from a wealthy background, and you know, when you come from not the best background, I feel like you have a bigger drive than the ones that do come from wealthy background. And you know, of course, with where I live, it's not the best area. So opposite my house, it's like it's drug dealer central. A lot of drug dealers come, and you know, they drive the cars in. They like do a lot of swaps. So I don't come from the best background, and I don't want to stay in that background. I want to break the ceiling. I want to, you know, get away from the area. I want to live a better life, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to live a better life. Making sure maybe my children will live a better life. It's just coming from not the best background. It just opens your eyes a lot to compared to people that do come from the best background. And yeah.
Because maybe you got a situation where you're like, I know how bad this is and how bad it can get. I never want to see them days again.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we're running away from that sort of lifestyle, which drives us to the successful part.
Yeah,
Right?
100%.
You got many siblings?
Yeah, so I've got two brothers. I've got one older and one younger.
Okay. And what do they do?
So my older brother, he's just graduated university, um, which I never got to do. But he's graduated university, and I think he's got a secure full-time job. And my younger brother, he's just in sixth form, I think, right now.
Okay, so you're the
middle.
basically, yeah, and you're the entrepreneur at all of them.
Yeah.
All of them. What were some of your first side hustles or jobs?
Um, when I'd say when I was 16, I did join like an affiliate marketing thing where, of course, you'd have to sell and you'd go from there. So,
Like a
of course,
pyramid scheme or something?
pretty much, I'd say, yeah, pretty much. Although it wasn't, a lot of people have a lot of thoughts on pyramid schemes. I just saw it. Of course, I'm 16 at the time. I just saw it as selling something and just growing from there. But at the time, I'd have to travel to London. So, of course, being 16, a young girl traveling to London, I wouldn't tell my parents what I'm doing because, they're just going to say, "What are you doing? Go back to school." But I was doing affiliate marketing at the time and I never succeeded in it. I failed in it. And I feel like I just tell everyone what I'm doing, but I wouldn't actually be doing it. So I feel like the difference for me starting that small little business to me now is the difference was that I took the action. I basically put my money where my mouth is. I made sure I'm walking the talk. Everything I'm saying, I'm doing. I think that's the biggest difference I've done.
How much do you turn over now, like on a sort of yearly basis?
So right now, I've got 15 rent to service accommodation, and they cash flow about £800 profit per month. I don't really like talking revenue because revenue is not really how much you make. I like talking about profit, however.
Yeah.
So I'd say on a yearly basis, it's 800 times 15, which is just under 15k per month, which I'm getting on a monthly basis. And then £15,000 times 12 is,
Well, 180,000.
yeah, so I'd say that's how much I'm turning around on a yearly basis.
And is that money yours? Do you take that out? Do you leave it in the business?
So most of it stays in the business and it always gets reinvested back in. I've only just started taking a wage, but that whole year I was working completely for free.
How much do you pay yourself?
So I pay myself right now. I think there's like a threshold where you can get. So my accountant has recommended to do this, where you pay yourself per month £1,000, about 1,000, just over £1,000, and that stays under the threshold of being tax free. So he's done this because
12,570
yeah,
is what you can earn without paying any
yeah.
tax. So
So he's done this to bring my yearly tax end down. So I pay myself that, and I also take dividends out as well. But most of the money that we're making, it always gets reinvested back in.
and some of your daily expenses, are you running them through the company?
Yeah, so I do run a lot of the food that I eat, because I work from home. A lot of the food I eat does expense from the company. My car petrol is expense for the company. For example, my drive here today, it's expense through the company.
Well,
So
it is work essentially, isn't it?
yeah, it basically is work.
You've got yourself in a position where you've got a passive income right now, so you're still getting money while you're here.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why I started this. I wanted freedom. I wanted I can be where I want and I'm making money at the same time. I think that's the main reason why I'm doing this.
When you got your first rental, was it under a company? Did you open a company there and then?
So yeah, I I I went through a few Facebook groups. Again, being self-taught, I was using all resources that I had to get as many free information as I could. I wouldn't do that now because I prefer getting mentors to get me at a higher level. But at the time, I used Facebook groups, and on the Facebook group, it said to start a limited company and then get the rent to rents. So all my rent to service accommodations are in my company's name.
Okay, and how did you open that company? Did you get a tax advisor or?
Um, so I didn't get a tax advisor, but I would recommend to get a tax advisor. and an accountant as well for advice. But it only cost me. The UK is brilliant for starting a business because it's so cheap to do it. It's about £12 to register your limited company. In Dubai, it's about £10,000. So there's a massive difference. But
Yes.
the UK is great for fueling starting businesses.
That's a bit of, I think, because you're in a different side of business right now. I had Rob Moore here yesterday,
Yeah,
and he was like, I said, what's the biggest barriers and stuff? And he goes, the government.
yeah.
They want to tax me 45%.
Oh yeah.
They want to tax me on this. They want all my money. The more I earn in entrepreneurship, the more they want to tax me, like they don't want me around.
Yeah. That's honestly, I'm not a fan of. I do believe, if you earn more, yeah, you should pay more tax, but not 45%. Just because, 45% of £200,000 and then 20% of 20k, you can see who's paying more. And I think it's not fair. It's not fair if, you work so hard and you've made all this money just for half of it to go to the government. But for startup businesses, it's all good. But I feel like with the UK government, it's not fair. I do agree with that. It's too much tax that they're taking. 45% is half of your earnings, and it's
Big chunk out of your pie.
it
Thank
is a
you.
massive.
We'll have that. You'll do all the work. And
Yeah.
we'll just have that bit. What's your goal in this space?
My goal is to have as many service accommodations as well. This could be rent to service accommodation, or it could be buy to service accommodation. I'm going more into the buying now. I'm looking at buying properties to put on for service accommodation, because if I've got them on a mortgage rate, then the cash flow will be 3 times more what I'm making now. So I am looking at buying, but long term wise, I'm looking to get. Ideally, I'd want about 200 units. So right now I'm figuring out a way to get from 15 units to 200 units. That's what I'm doing right now, and I'm also building a personal brand, a personal platform where I showcase what I do on a day-to-day basis. Just building a community of people that resonate with me. And just helping others to, and hopefully inspire others to get to reach their full potential.
How important is branding?
It's very important.
Have you always known what branding is?
Yeah, I'd say because, of course, I'm a younger generation, branding has always been smacked in our faces. So branding, I feel like myself, I feel like I'm good at marketing. I know how to market. I could be better, but from me compared to an older person, I would say, yeah, we do have an advantage of knowing how to market, knowing about branding. But at the moment, branding, I'd say right now, it's very, very big. Digital assets, it's getting bigger. I feel like we really need to be leveraging and monetizing off building a brand, and it's so easy to do so. You can easily go on Instagram, be consistent, post every day. It's not as easy as it sounds, but if you stay consistent for the next 5 years, you can't tell me that you haven't been able to build that brand that you wanted to build.
Does branding have to cost you like £5,000, like a lot of money for someone to design colors, fonts, how it looks, and perception, or could it be as easy trying a few things yourself?
I'd say starting up, it doesn't need to cost anything. Social media is free. You can go onto Facebook, you can go onto Instagram. You can start up and you can build yourself up. You can build your brand up to a certain amount of followers, certain amount of engagement. But I'd say the more big you get, you will need to invest in advertising, ads. But starting up, it's really good to build a personal brand.
So I think I saw something about a year ago. You had interviewed somebody who designed something for you. Is that right?
Yeah.
Something towards your brand or something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. Like, could you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so that was actually my first introduction to. Although, yeah, I was saying that I know slightly a bit about marketing, but it came to me that I don't know everything about marketing. There's a lot of systems and procedures that you need to have to make sure the marketing is gonna be successful. Like, yeah, I can go and market, but how much of that marketing is gonna be, how much percentage of that marketing is gonna give me the earnings back? So yeah, I learned how to build a brand, build a service accommodation brand, because there's one thing where you can have a title of saying luxury apartment with free parking. That's one thing. But if you have another thing where it says your brand name, so let's say in Dubai they've got these brand names like Damak and what's the other one? They've got Damak and
I've only heard of
Imar,
Damak.
Imar, that's the one. So we've got these big brand names where if you hear it, it's got the credibility, it's got the trust. And with service accommodation, this business is about trust. With customers, you want to be making sure that the customers are trusting you. So I've learned how to, brand ourselves in order to gain the guests' trust for us. And I'm also working with a company called iPrac, and they help to ensure that where it's like a license where they provide for more legitimacy and to provide more security for guests when booking with us.
Okay. What do you think's been your biggest failure or learn from what you've been doing in this business so far?
I think it's probably I wouldn't really call it a failure. It's just a more of a I wish I had this aspect. So I'd say because I don't have much experience in all these corporate jobs. I don't have much experience in leadership. Um, so of course, from not having this experience in leadership has impacted me because I'm hiring all this staff, but I need to know how to be a people's manager. I need to know how to direct. I need to know about all these different aspects of hiring. And it's something that's new to me, and I just wish I had the experience to know how to do this. Um, yes, I can invest in mentors to teach me, but I just wish I had the experience in hiring, hiring staff, and managing staff as well, because it plays such a big part in a hospitality business.
Mhm. How did you start leveraging your business in terms of people? So instead of you spending 3 hours to start cleaning, when was the right time to start employing a cleaner? Where did you find these people?
Yeah, so I used to post me cleaning on Instagram, and of course, I thought it was cool. But someone messaged me who's quite big in the service accommodation sector, and they said, um, why don't you outsource this?" And then I read it and I said, what does outsource mean? I didn't understand what outsource meant. And then I looked more into it, and outsource means when you give a lower skilled task to someone that's more skilled at it. And this is for me to grow my business more, and it's not focusing on um, it's me focusing on more income generating tasks and not tasks that aren't generating me any money. So me cleaning was not generating me any more income. And I feel like that was a massive mindset shift for me, because this whole time I was cleaning, I thought this was my business. I thought what I'm doing here is a business. But the reality was, me cleaning for my service accommodation units it wasn't a business, because I'm doing the cleaning. I'm not building it more. A business is where you're always looking at ways to increase the income, and you've got different departments for everything. So I'm glad that person told me that, because after that I hired a cleaning team to do the cleans for us, and it's crazy the amount of free time I had after that. Because before I had to be somewhere at a certain time, now I don't have to be anywhere at a certain time, unless it's to grow the business more.
Is your business like fully automized now?
Yeah, so I'd say so. Yeah, so now I can be in a different country and the business can still run. I can handle any problems from my phone, but now we've got procedures. If, for example, if there's a party going on, we've got a procedure for that now. So if a party happens, which is very rare now because we've managed to decrease the amount of times that happens. But if it does happen, at my virtual assistant, who I've hired from the Philippines, they get notified about it. They've got access to my actual licensed security guard. They've got access to that contact number. They give the security guard a ring. They let them know about the location of the property, how to get access to the property. They let them know about all the information. Security guard gets there within 5-10 minutes, and because they're licensed, they know how to deal with security call outs and evictions. They can simply evict the guest, and the virtual assistant deals with everything after that. So this all happened while I was in Dubai, where a security call out happened, and I only found out at the end of the day that this happened. So that's when you know that you've built a good system in place, and this business is all about systems. And I'm glad that we're slowly building it more and more.
So you've built a blueprint of something fully automized,
Yeah,
like a copy and paste system if somebody wanted to start, really.
yeah, we're still improving it, but it's crazy what systems can do and automatizations. It's crazy.
You talked a little bit about traveling. Tell us more about that. How important is it to travel?
So it is very important to travel, in my opinion, because when you live in the UK, you could argue, yeah, it's gloomy in here and there. Yeah, it is a bit gloomy because of the weather, not the best weather, and it's just a massive, again, mindset shift. It's about a shift in your mind. You you I like I said, I don't live in the best area. So when I go to Dubai and I see there's villas on the Palm, there's all these private gated villas on the Palm. I see all of it, and I see all these different houses. I see the way how the treatment is there. There's a lot of the staff. They give a lot of respect to everyone. It's a lot more respectful there. Whereas the attitude here in the UK, a lot of people are more rude, a lot of people are more disrespectful. There's a lot more crime here. It just makes you think, like, if I didn't travel to Dubai, I wouldn't want more, if that makes sense. I wouldn't want a better life for myself, because if I live in the UK all my life, if I stay in my city all my life, I'm just going to think in my head, yeah, this is the norm. It's normal to live opposite a drug dealer, the drug dealer central. It's normal to do that, but in actuality, it's not the best environment to be in.
Mm. Do you think you could expand to Dubai or something?
Yeah, so 100%. We are looking into expand to Dubai. Airbnb, they conducted this research where they were looking at the most popular places, and so it's an actual research they conducted. They said that Dubai is the biggest place for Airbnb operations. They said it's the best place to do Airbnb. Of course, if that information is coming from Airbnb themselves, success leaves clues. If they're saying that, I'm going to want to look towards Dubai and see if there's opportunities that can present themselves here.
I could imagine you and Osmar going, we're going to book this place. If it doesn't work, we'll stay in it. I see you guys really enjoying yourselves. Is social media real? Because we see a lot of people on jet skis, boat parties, living the lifestyle. Is that reality? Because you're turning over a lot of money now, 6 figures. You've got money at your fingertips. If you want to go away, you can. Is everything we're seeing, are we really missing out?
Um, it's hard. It's 50-50. Like, yeah, you could argue that it's not real, but if someone is on a jet ski, they are on a jet ski. But the thing is, a lot of people don't show how they got there. They just show like an easy way how they got there. And I feel like I've done that in the past, where I show myself on a boat, on a jet ski in Dubai, but I don't say, I make it look like it's easy, but it's not easy. And I'm trying to show that more to people, that you have to work very hard, you have to be very consistent, you have to have more perseverance, you have to work hard to get to this place. And I'm starting to post that more now. The last thing I'd want to do is glamorize this whole thing and say, oh, everyone be an entrepreneur, it's amazing. Because there are times where, there are very hard times being an entrepreneur. It's very lonely as well. It's a lot more stressful.
I agree.
Because, I'm having to wear a lot of the hats. I'm having to wear, all these different departments. Whereas if you work, a normal job, you can easily switch off. But there's nothing wrong with working, a normal 9 to 5. There's absolutely nothing. It's very secure. It offers good security. But I just want a lot of people to know that being an entrepreneur is not as glamorized as you see it online. So I'd say it's semi-fake, but the people that are on jet skis, they did work hard to get there.
Leena, tell me a little bit about your environment. Who are the people around you? How are some of your systems and processes around you? Do you do your bed in the morning? Is your room tidy? Like, how is, how do you conduct yourself?
So environment or like a routine?
I'll say like everything around you. Like, so it doesn't have to just mean your routine, because I know your routine can change because of work. But what is around you, and how do you like your world to be?
So currently, me and Uzma, we've rented an apartment. It's a 2-bedroom apartment in a brand new area. So I go there sometimes, and I sometimes stay in that apartment. So I've taken myself out of where I used to live, and I put myself in a brand new environment. And I feel like environment is a massive thing, because I can't work if it's not silent. I need to work in a certain temperature to do a lot of deep work when I'm doing any admin work. So environment does play a massive part. But when I was starting up, the environment I had, when you say environment, do you mean like where I work or
Everything. It could be down to the environment in your head. Am I doing my bed in the morning? Because that says a lot about what you're doing. Or
yeah,
it could be in terms of the way your desk is all tidy and you're organized OCD person, down to who are the people that you're hanging around with.
yeah,
I know it's quite a large sort of question, but I want you to interpret it how you say these are the things in my environment, what I see, touch, feel, and my routine, or how I go about myself, because you're very efficient at your business, you're very good at your processes. What builds this kind of person? What kind of life are you living? Who are the people in
yeah.
this place around you?
So I'm a massive, massive believer in waking up early. And I learned this from my dad. My dad would always tell me, like, you have to wake up early even if it was just to go to grocery shopping. He'd always do it early in the morning, because if you do it late in the day, it just gets busy. A lot of everything, you just get distracted by a lot of things. So I learned that from him. So
So
yeah,
what is early?
early is like 6 a.m., 7 a.m.
Okay.
So nothing like 5 a.m. I'm trying to get to that 5 a.m. stage where every day I'm waking up at 5
Do
a.m.
you
But
think it's important to get up at 5 a.m.?
I think it's very important.
Really?
You'd be surprised, because if I was to wake up at 5 a.m., right now I wake up at 6 a.m., it's so quiet, it's so peaceful. You can hear the birds chirping.
That's true.
Like, you can get so much work. Those few hours in the morning, so from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m., it's so quiet. You can get so much work done. And you could argue 5 a.m. to 9 a.m., if you do deep work in there, you could argue that you can get more done than an average person would get done in 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Even though it's small, even though it's a couple of hours, you can get more done than an average person would in the day, because you've got a really quiet environment. You've got no distractions. Your phone's not buzzing. No one is messaging you. No one is awake. And it's just that buzz as well, where you're awake while majority of the world is sleeping. I think waking up in the morning is very, very important. And if I was to wake up one day at 1 p.m., I don't do anything in the day. I just feel like the day's failed. But if I wake up early in the morning, I have a routine where I have to juice my celery. I juice celery. It's just become a routine. It's like where you drink water, but it's more powerful. So celery is very healthy. So I do that every morning. And after, if you, to make something into a routine, you have to make it a habit. And to make something into a habit, you have to do it consistently for 21 days. So of course I've been doing this for 21 days, and now after 21 days, it's just become an automatic thing. I can't go on with my day without doing that one thing that's turned into a habit. But yeah, waking up early in the morning is very, very important.
How do you focus yourself for 21 days? Like after 3 days, you're getting the shakes and you're like, I really want to go back to my old routine. Or,
Yeah.
for example, how do you overcome that?
I'd say you have to ignore it. So a lot of people that, let's say there's someone that normally wakes up at 1 p.m. and they're just starting to wake up at, you know, trying to wake up at 7 a.m. For the first few days, you're going to be tired. You're just going to be moody because you're waking up. It's against your norm. It's against your habit. When we go against our habits, it starts to get itchy. It's not comfortable. But we have to learn to be uncomfortable at times. But doing that, after a few days, the itch will start to go. You'll start to see the benefit of that habit. If it's a good habit, you'll start to see the benefits of it, and then you'll want to do it more, and then you'll want to do it more. So it all comes down to that. It's the same thing with fasting. So, I'm Muslim, and every year we do fasting for a month. So let's say one day I could be eating all day, and the next day I'm fasting for the rest of the day. For the first few days, it's hard, but after that, it just becomes a routine. It becomes a habit, and we realize that it's healthy for us, and you start to see the benefits. And you just do it and every day, and then once you start eating again, that becomes weird. So I think making good things a habit is very important.
Mm. What else do you do? What about your diet and gym regime? Do you go to the gym?
So not at the moment. I'm
Do you
not.
have any hobbies that's more physical?
Yeah. So I like hiking. Hiking is I think I really like hiking because it's it's a challenge. I think it was a while ago when I went to Mount Snowdon in Wales, and of course, you're going up the mountain. You just feel like giving up, and this applies in business as well. You feel like giving up, like you can't feel your legs. You just can't walk more, but you've got so much of the top to you. You've got so much more to walk through, and that's where it comes down to. If you want to get to the top, even though you feel horrible, you feel moody, you can't feel your legs. If you want to get to the top, you have to keep going. You have to work hard. You have to get up there, and that's why I really like hiking. And because it's healthy to get some fresh air. But I really like a challenge, and hiking is one of them.
How important is diet?
Diet, I think it's very, very important. Um, with me, I really believe in eating clean. Yeah, I do have a few times where I have a few burgers, but this is where the mindset shift has come again. So, I'd say more wealthier people, they look after themselves more because having a healthier diet, it gives you more energy, it gives you more a higher production rate, and being an entrepreneur, you have to produce more. You have to be more energized. You have to be more creative. If you have a bad diet, you're gonna feel moody. You're gonna feel horrible. So having a good diet is very important to have more energy and to produce more efficient work. So diet's very, very important for me.
Really mature answer. I really like that. You really got your head screwed on right. Like
Yeah,
you're making me think like I try to stay healthy and I'm like, why do I do that?
yeah,
But it is to just stay more productive. Like
yeah,
I can wake up in the morning and I can work the first half, go to the gym in the middle, and then I can work the second half as well. I don't really have a boundary or a filter. And I think
yeah,
if you're an entrepreneur, you can't say it's 5 o'clock and clocking out anymore. If there's something that needs to be done 7:30 to 9 or 10 o'clock, we do it, right?
yeah,
And you've got to have enough energy to do that. And I'll be honest with you, like even with that mindset, it's about a year and a half or 2 years until I'm ill. Like seriously, like I think, oh, he hasn't turned up for work. He's not well. He's got this ache, that ache. He's got the flu. And I'm like, I swear to God, I go for a year or 2 years. And I'm like, hang on, I still ain't even been ill. But do you know what I do get ill is when I go on holiday. It's like all systems down. It's like, yeah, you can relax. Oh, yeah,
yeah.
you can get ill now, by the way, because you got nothing to do. I don't know, like, how's your immune system?
I'd say it's quite good now because I'm on top of what I eat. What I think this is when you look at all a majority of the millionaires in the world, what they eat is such an important thing. They've even hired a nutritionist. They've hired people to wake them up in the morning to have this nutrition in the morning. They've got these dietitians to feed them the correct food in order for them to produce more. And it is such an important thing. Not many people speak about it as well. People just talk about reading the right books, just working, but no one talks about our internal bit parts where we need to eat right, we need to sleep correctly. So I've just recently ordered an Aura ring. So it's like a ring that you put on, and it tracks your sleep. It tracks the amount of REM sleep that you get. The amount of REM sleep that you get is very, very important. So it stands for rapid eye movement. So again, it gives you if you can track your sleep, then you can also track how good you're performing as well. So I've recently ordered that, and yeah.
That's interesting. Well, you have to let me know how that is going for you, or if
Yeah.
I should get one ordered. Because it's like you need more things to track, you know what I mean? Like once you're working at optimum rate, you're like, well, how can I make this better?
Yeah.
That's interesting, that is. That really is. Tell me a little bit about relationships. Like, you know, you're a successful woman now. Like you've got a business.
Yeah.
In our Asian culture and society, you have working women, but you don't have many entrepreneurs or strong women, and you're doing a lot of deals. You know, like, do you feel that affects like who you meet, or if you're meeting somebody, or the shift into sort of, you know, because Asian men do like to take in control, and because you're earning more, do you think that intimidates them? Like, what's your thoughts on all of this, or what have you experienced?
I feel like it does intimidate a lot of guys, but I feel like it intimidates guys that are not doing enough. I feel like guys that are doing enough, they are working hard. It doesn't really intimidate them. So I feel like um, that with working women, women that they've got their own business, I feel like there is a pattern that, because they also speak about it as well. Other successful women, they say, you know, a lot of men, they feel intimidated by the amount of success they've achieved, but maybe they've just, you know, talking to the wrong men, because most men that are doing great, they're normally nice, they're normally not intimidated by anything. So I feel like it comes down to that. I feel like maybe it comes down to insecurities, because intimidation does come from insecurities. So I feel like it does come down to that. But with me personally, yeah, I have experienced, you know, some times where the guys, they are a bit intimidated and they portray it by being a bit rude or mocking what I do. But I know it's because they haven't done enough for themselves. That's why they're putting it out on me. I already know that, so it doesn't really phase me in the way it would phase others.
Hmm. And how do your family see it? Like whatever you're doing, and they know you're earning big bucks. Like
Yeah,
you're potentially earning more than your dad right now, and your brothers, sort
yeah,
of thing. Like, how is that?
yeah. So with that, I it's a tricky one, but I don't even they I don't think it's a tricky one,
I can
because
see that.
they want what my parents, they really, really wanted me to be a lawyer. They wanted me to be, or even a doctor, anything that's traditional,
Yeah.
that's nice, that's seen to be good in the traditional values. But um you know, when I started this business, I didn't get any support from parents. Normally, you'd think, you know, parents would be like, "Oh wow,
Mm,
go on, Jack, carry on
normally.
with your great business." But I never got that, and I just want people to know that you might not have supportive parents, and you know, you shouldn't let that put you down, because I let that put me down. You know, it was really difficult for me when I was starting up. You know, with my parents, you know, they not a lot of nice comments would be made. Um,
It,
Even my whole family as a general, they were just really surprised as to why I'm not carrying on with university. They were surprised as to why am I doing this, because they saw this business as a man business, like it's like, because they saw me doing a lot of heavy lifting. Because when you start up, because you've got a lot of Amazon parcels coming in, so I'm having to fit them all in my car. So they said to me, "Why are you doing a lot of heavy lifting? What is this? You go be a lawyer." So I didn't have any support. It was literally me alone. That's why I felt better to post on social media a lot, because you know, you get a lot of other people supporting you. But family wise, I never really got that support, and I'm still waiting for that support. I think they still want me to be.
wow.
I think they still want me to be a lawyer. It's really difficult because I see a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of successful people. They go on podcasts and they say, I couldn't have achieved being a millionaire without my parents allowing me to be creative. So when I hear stuff like that, it's just like, oh, it's not a nice feeling. But I'm here to say that, you know, if you want to do something and your parents aren't supportive of it, just carry on doing what you really want to do. If it's morally good, if it's a good thing that you want to do in life, go for it, take action. And if your parents don't support you, if your family don't support you, just you're gonna have to ignore it. It's just noise. It's just noise in what you're doing. And hopefully in the next 5 years, they'll come back to you and they'll congratulate you. I'm of course still waiting for that congratulations. Maybe in a few years I'll get it. But yeah, it's hard when you haven't got the family support.
Do you think that's what drives you right now?
Yeah, I would say yeah, it drives me. But of course, there's times where it puts me down. Where what's the point if my family don't support me? But at the same time, it does drive me because you know there's a reason why they don't support it. There's a reason because they're scared. They're scared that I'm gonna fail. If everyone in my family thinks I'm gonna fail, and what am I supposed to think? I need to be the one that believes that I'm gonna be successful. Um, from where I'm going at, we currently are successful at the moment. The company's doing great. We're doing great numbers, but to get to even higher numbers, I'm gonna have to work a bit more harder. But yeah, it has been a bit difficult to overcome that.
Hmm. I agree with you. Like when I first came out on social media just over 12 months ago, it was like, what are you doing? You know, why are you showing everybody what you've done and what you've got?
Yeah,
I'm like, well, this is how the world works now. So I've got to change with the world or I'm gonna get left behind. Do I want to be an old school landlord just doing one property at a time? Or do I want to set up something that I can teach the next generation, leave a print, leave some legacy? And maybe when you show other people what you're capable of and what you do, they want to be associated with you. You know, it's easier to network. Like I've met some phenomenal people on this podcast and through influencing alone, and none of that would ever have happened. I would have had to talk to someone's PAs of their PA to even get in touch with somebody. So I think it's so important to believe in yourself because people like your parents do want the best, do want to do things in the best interest of you, but they're also thinking with their own thoughts
yeah,
and what they've been exposed to. So they put their thoughts onto your situations and put their fears on top of you. And that's just fear is just an illusion, you know, something that could happen. And I don't think, you know, when you're not fearful of it and you go, well, the fear is only if I stay in my comfort zone. I need to be uncomfortable to grow because it's
yeah,
only that time is when I'm going to really find my strength, right?
100%. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, just to add on what you were saying, like they they see a more stable job as security. I mentioned this in another podcast where, of course, they come all the way from another country to the UK for a better life.
Yeah.
They come for security, and of course, if I'm doing something that's out of the ordinary, that's so random, of course, it's gonna give negative effects to them. But yeah,
Recently, there's been some talk in the news regarding whether you can use some of your places as like short-term lets because there's a housing market, like there's a shortage in the housing market. Um, could that be a threat to you guys? And what are some of your contingencies if there's a law that doesn't allow you to do your business anymore?
yeah. So what you're referring to is there's talks, consultations, talks on whether short-term lets should be more restricted and regulated. So I think this is a great thing. Reason being is because again, Dubai has many regulations for short-term lets. You need licenses. You need a more procedures in place to run your accommodation as a short-term let. In the UK, anyone can do it. Anyone can get a property and put it on Airbnb, and it's not regulated. And of course, what this does is it brings anyone into the market. It's a low barrier to entry, a lot of people aren't doing the right things. They haven't got the right procedures. They haven't got the right insurances in place, and they are if they're doing the wrong things, they're ruining the whole industry for the people that are doing things right. So what I think this is doing, I think this is regulating the UK. And the UK does need a lot more regulation in order for us to meet up to Dubai standards. Because Dubai it's about 30 years ahead of us, and for us to put this regulation in now, it's very crucial for this industry to be more respected. And I feel like it will flush out a lot of competition as well, because I feel like it will do that, and it will make people treat this as a real business rather than a side hustle. It needs to be taken seriously. So I think with these planning permission coming in, I think it's a great thing, and we're preparing for it. We're speaking to councils about what's gonna be happening. We're speaking to the local councils, getting as much information as we need, making sure that we're ready for it, and yeah.
Nice. Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
So in 10 years, I see myself being in the millionaire stage. I definitely 100% see myself in that stage because I haven't stopped working since I started. If Of course, if I work every day on this business, making sure that every day I'm building it more and more. Of course, let's say every day I'm working 4 hours on growing the business. In a week, that's 28 hours building the business. In a year, that's 52 times 28 hours. So of course, all these hours I'm putting in, it's going to grow and grow. So I see myself being a millionaire in 10 years. Of course, other people might hear that and think, "Oh, what is this girl speaking about? Has she gone crazy?" But I feel like it's attainable because I've made it attainable for myself. I haven't restricted myself in thinking, "Oh, maybe I'll be a billionaire, maybe I'll be a millionaire." I do see it happening, and it's 100%.
What does being a millionaire mean?
I think it to me it means you have a lot more freedom, but for me it means like I've broken the ceiling. I've broken the culture ceiling, where an Asian girl is a self-made millionaire. Like being self-made, it means a lot to me. Where I haven't had any handouts. I've had to put in the work myself. Um, yeah, I would have preferred coming from a wealthy background, but uh, you know, it's nice to also say that I built this thing myself. I worked hard for it and I earned it. So it does mean a lot to me to be a millionaire. I think that it's not even just the name of it. It's just a representation of how hard you worked, and yeah.
Does money buy you happiness?
I wouldn't say it buys you happiness, but I would say it buys you a lot of opportunities. You know, me retiring my parents, of course, that gives me happiness. Me building mosques, building schools in lower end countries, that brings me happiness. It brings me fulfillment. And I think it comes down to that. It all comes down to the fulfillment side of stuff. I'm not saying money alone is going to buy me my happiness. I'm saying the stuff it's going to bring is going to make me feel a bit more fulfilled in my life.
Is there a topic or a question you wanted to cover in this podcast?
Is this part being recorded?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know. If we just cut this part
Yeah,
out.
sure.
I don't know. I'd say. What do you think? How do you think it's gone so far?
That's really good. Really, really good.
Okay.
How do you feel it's gone?
Yeah. I feel like it's gone good.
It's really done good. We've spoke about the business. We spoke a little bit about your journey. We thought when you're building your personal brand, this is what people are going to relate to now, like how how your mind is, how you work. If you're going to design a course or some academy, people are going to say, I want to work with this girl because she's really nice, calm. And this is stuff like this is going to help your stuff, which is why we're going a little bit personal. Because when people say, I don't see money like this or I don't feel like that, but she's relating to me, this is what's going to make you relatable and stuff. But I just wanted to know if you want to add anything
I
else
do
on.
have an e-learning platform. where of course I'm showing everyone what I did and how I achieved it, and ensuring, just giving that helping hand and support to people that
All right, so
I
let's
wish
talk
I had.
about that now before we sort of break it off. Is that
Okay,
right?
yeah, that's
Yeah,
perfect.
and maybe have one question for me at the end as well. Yeah,
I'm
is up to you. You can ask me then. Yeah.
okay. Oh, you
No,
don't want me to say it now?
no,
You want
no,
it?
no, no, no. I like
Okay,
to be on the spot. Put me on the spot. Put me in a corner. Put a
okay.
gun at me. I like that sort of stuff. Sophia, we're back in right now. Yeah, that's my editor, by the way. Um, so Lena, I really want to ask, how are you giving back to the community? So, like in terms of, have you built anything to help influence some of the next generation or some of your peers who want to do something like you're doing?
So I've actually started an e-learning platform where I'm giving the support to anyone that needs it really, and the support that I wish I had when I started out. So I basically, you know, I've come up to 15 units. I want to show other people how they can do it as well and how attainable it is. And it's also about shifting your mindset to thinking low to thinking big. How big can you think? Big how fast can you achieve things? How fast your life can change with 6 months of hard work and consistency. Your whole life can flip over, and that's what I've currently started. Um, I've got a few people where I've taught them exactly what I did. I offered them the support, and they've managed to secure their first few units. That one person, they've got their first unit. They're actually collecting the keys, I think, next week actually. So I'm going to go meet them and congratulate them for achieving that. But it means so much to me how you know it was only just under 2 years ago where I was struggling. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. Where I'm now offering the support of everything I learnt, all the hours of YouTube videos I did, all the hours of book reading I did, all the networking events that I did. I'm now showing that to everyone, and giving complete transparency of everything that I achieved and how they can achieve it as well. And yeah.
So if I picked up one of your e-learnings, how many weeks will I have to do it for to know what I'm sort of doing?
So what we do is it's based on how fast you want to go and how consistent you're going to be. If you're working on, calling more agents, calling more landlords, we have even a KPI tracker of, tracking how much calls you're doing, how much, viewings you're attending on, because it all comes down to that. The amount when you do this for so long, the amount of deals you need to see with every deal that you get, you need to see how many viewings did that deal take, how many calls did that deal take to get. And let's say I've did 25 viewings, I've did 25 calls in a week, and and that has caused me to get my first deal. And then every week that number of calls will reduce and the number of views will reduce because I can see what I'm doing wrong and I can see what I'm doing right. So that's essentially what I'd be potentially showing you. And just being that mental support, being that mental accountability and physical accountability as well, and getting you to achieve your goals. Because I had a lot of times where I'd have a lot of mental breakdowns. I just wish I had a mentor, because if I did at the time, then I'd be a way more successful than I am now.
Don't you think 90% is mindset?
Um, I'd I'd say I'd say it's 50-50. I feel like mindset does play a big role, but you do need the knowledge. You really, really do need the knowledge and skill to build. Get up to 15 units, because it's one thing from getting your first unit, and then there's another thing from getting your first 5 units, and there's a whole different thing where you get from 5 to 15 units. There's a lot of things that play into this business, and I just want to shift the mindset from this is not a side hustle, it's a business. You need to take this seriously. You need to build these systems in place. There's a lot of systems that you need to play. There's a lot of funnels in place where you're calling the agents and landlords. There's a lot of things that you need to put into place to efficiently achieve the goal rather than wasting time.
What's the major difference from 5 and 15?
Systems and automations. It really does come down to that. You need to have strong systems to build a business. Majority of businesses fail because they had never had the systems in place. And I think it comes down to that.
Okay, well, thank you very much for that. Do you have a question for me, Leena?
I do actually. What would you say to your? I'm 21, so what would you say to your 21-year-old self?
Right. I would say is make sure that one thing we know is we don't know. Yeah. What we do know is we don't know. We never ever know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't even know we're going to wake up tomorrow. That's something within life, and we come alone, and we also go alone. So you can only sort of rely on yourself. However, you've got to think with a positive mindset every single day because it's only you getting yourself up. Now, you're generating a lot of cash right now. Do businesses last forever? Generally not. Things happen in cycles. The property market is cyclical. It can be trendy when certain things come into play. Property is very different from 17 years ago, from when I bought my first one to now. There's a lot more regulation. I know we live on an island. There's only a certain amount of houses you can build on an island. Population is growing, so you've got to take a step back and see what's happening in the world right now. And you've identified some of them things like Dubai, what's happening in Dubai, how fast is Dubai moving. So I believe diversification is key. Diversify, don't put all your eggs in one basket. If you've got 15 SAs, rent to rent, that is all your eggs in one basket. It's working brilliantly now, but we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know what councils are going to turn around and say. And it was a big shock for me in 2013 when I built a HMO and then this system called Article 4. Yeah, when Article 4 came in, it meant they wanted more community housing and less HMOs. Now, the brilliant thing is, if you've got a HMO already, you can rent all of the rooms still and you're fine and you can prove that. But what I was doing a massive double-story side extension to build this 1.5 bedroom into a 6 bedroom house. And I finished it, and I didn't know about this Article 4. I wasn't looking up on the council. I was working in banking, and this was my side hustle, as you say. And I'm glad I finished this project, and I've rented the rooms. 2014 goes by, 2015 goes by, and next minute, enforcement comes in knocked with and did these big red letters and they're quite scary. It's like, what have I done? Am I gonna get fined £20,000? And so they came in and they were like, look, oh wow. Like they weren't that bad as the letters would say. They were really nice and they were like, oh, this looks lovely. Can we have proof of when this was done? And I went, well, I've just done it in 2014. And they go, oh no, after 2013 regulation, because they thought I was gonna lie. And I wasn't here to lie. I was like, I literally done it in 2014, but my plans were submitted in 2012, nearly 2013. But by the time I finished the build, it was 2014 sort of time. And so for something that I was going to earn £3,500 for, and I was earning it at that time, I had to turn it back into a normal house, and then my income dropped down to 2,100. That's nearly, that's a lot of money. Like £1,000 to £1,500. That's like £18,000 a year, and I'm a small little landlord paying for this build cost. So what we do know is we never know what's going to happen tomorrow. So if you do have a pot of cash and you're cash flowing really good now, I'd look to put that passive income now, I'd look to put it into some other assets like you've mentioned before. Like why not start buying houses now? Maybe use some of your resources and your systems that you have currently to scale that side of the business. So eventually you're having your rent to rent SAs, but you're having the buy to SA as well portfolio. And then if something was to happen on this side, then you're still secure on
Yeah.
this side, if that makes sense. So I would always look to put, because sometimes you don't even know what's going to happen in your relationship. You think I'm gonna maybe get engaged to this woman, I'm gonna marry, I'm gonna have kids with her. You might even get to the marriage stage, and even that's not guaranteed. So everything in life is never ever guaranteed, and it doesn't matter if you're a multi-millionaire or you're a peasant. We still have our shit still smells the same. Do you know what I mean? you have problems, your problems might get bigger. You've got money to solve some problems, but you can't. Money isn't going to give you that happiness in your relationships, in certain issues and problems, and some of the businesses that you do with that inflict people. So always make sure you're being innovative. So if you have that opportunity of money there, say, hey, why don't we put 10% aside? So we've turned over 180,000. 10% is 18,000. Can we gamble 18,000 on another idea? Maybe a product. Maybe let's put something on Amazon. Maybe let's have a look at a problem or issue. Maybe let's make that a meeting in the week or the month and go, we do this on a daily call. Let's think of something fresh. Let's think of brainstorming these ideas. Let's see if we can, because we can gamble a little bit, because we're not going to, well, let's just say we had a bad month and we lost 15 grand 1 month. Let's use that contingency to create, and maybe that would outgrow even what you have right now. So sorry, that was a long-winded answer,
No, it was really
but I
helpful.
like to explain things properly, and I feel that just be open-minded. We never know everything, no matter how much we earn. I might be earning 25 grand a month now. I might have a massive portfolio of multi-millions, but you can never ever know everything. Always be coachable, always be open-minded, and always look how else can you do things differently, because you now have a platform. You've built a great foundation, and now you can use it as something you can springboard off. Like, hey, we've built this hardware, we've built a system. Okay, we're now doing maybe e-learning courses. That's another revenue streams. We're getting rewarded for helping people. What are the other things that we can be doing? And like you're doing, you're traveling, have a look at things in other countries and go, rah, we could take that concept back to London very easily and quickly and leverage that, because no one else is doing that. On this podcast, I had a gentleman come from Drinkfut, and he said he went to Germany, and he saw these drinks that were, they just believe in local produce and farming, and they were selling their own produce. And he goes, well, I'm just going to take that back to London, because I've never even seen of this, but this is just normal here. So all he did was just import this thing, change the recipe a little bit himself, and now he's really innovative in his market, challenging Red Bull. And like, do we ever think we can challenge someone like Red Bull? It's one of the biggest brands, but we are capable of so much, and all it requires is a little bit of an idea, a little bit of drive, a little bit of a foundation. But when we got that foundation, make the most use of it, because we don't know how long that's going to last for. We really don't. You can have good years, bad years. You can have COVID years. COVID could be very bad for you, but you could use it to your advantage and use it for key workers and stuff. So that's one thing I'd say, Leena.
Thank you. That was really helpful.
Well, if you just look straight at your camera and let them know how my audience can follow you and see what you're doing.
So you can follow me on Instagram. It's Leena X Ahmed. And I'm also starting a YouTube as well. So that's Leena Ahmed. And yeah, you can find me there. Message me anytime if anyone has any questions about what I mentioned. I'll be happy to answer.
And there we go, guys. Let's say thank you to Leena. She's been absolutely brilliant. She's inspired me that somebody so young could be driven, looking to grow, and has her heights set high, really. And it should be inspiration to you guys to say, what am I doing? Am I pushing myself? Am I leaving myself in a comfortable situation? Am I being complacent right now? Because if I think a little bit outside of the box, if I step into bigger rooms, if I have right conversations, if I show other people my credibility that I am enough and I can perform for you, maybe you'll be achieving similar things. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and yeah, we'll catch you on the next one. Don't forget to subscribe, leave us a comment, and share this with one of your friends or family that it could really help them. So see you on the next one. Peace.